stupid about humans.
Yeah.
I mean, besides everything.
Yeah.
They believe that their politicians actually work for them.
Oh, they have it so messed up.
It's so messed up.
They actually put like a lot of faith in their elected leader.
They think that they're actually going to put their own self-interest behind what they're doing for their constituents.
And you know what else is so dumb about humans?
What?
Their money is worth less today than it was yesterday. Isn't that insane?
How?
Like they created a store of value that's literally storing less and less value day by day.
Wow.
Dude, they need us so bad.
They need us so bad.
They need us so bad.
They need us the worst.
Hey, yo. Welcome to Everything Is Podcast. I'm your host, Chidi Bang. It's my tag team partner, Kristen Mosai, Joint Worldwide Tula. We here to bring you talks on everything that matters because we are the zeitgeist and we are the culture. So please take this moment, if you're here with us, to like, subscribe. We really would appreciate it. Definitely. We're trying to hit 100 by the end of the month. That will be amazing. That'll be amazing. And we are on our way. Chris, how you feeling today?
You know, depending on the day, depending on the topic. My boys is beating up Wimby in the group chat. You know what I'm saying? And
You talking about walking down?
we're talking about aliens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you talking about one B? Talking about the hole in him, the big hole in him.
Hey, relax about the big baguette.
The big baguette. Yeah. Listen,
No, we good, man. We good. How you, man?
I'm tired, but I'm here. You know, we still.
Bro,
I did not get my coffee today. Did not get my coffee. Speaking of Wemby, you know, I probably won't be getting my coffee because I'm going to go and celebrate tomorrow at the New York Knicks parade. You know, gonna really, you know, put them in the dirt tomorrow and really, you know, celebrate the New York Knicks, you know, first finals victory in 53 years. It's gonna be a moment. So we want to get out there early. I know the streets are gonna be flooded at like 8 a.m. So we want to try to see if we can dive down. So I'm gonna try to see if we can get through tonight, have a little bit of chat. You know, you know, and then we gotta get some rest because tomorrow it's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit for sure. So
Okay, well, shit. What we got going for the day, brother? Tell us what we're talking about.
well, RFK Jr. seems to be now on the head of the human. I'm sorry. Okay. Honestly, you could say it better than me. You have the information, but
So RFK,
the Department
RFK,
of Health.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's the Secretary of Department of Health and Human Services, and it was presented or shown to me via Twitter or X, whatever they're calling it, that the Department of Education is now handing over, or he'll be overseeing individuals with disability, the Individuals with Disability Education
Okay.
Act.
Yeah. Okay.
So you know that is what he'll be overseeing, and pretty much this goal of theirs, the administration goal, is they're moving the special educations to HHS as part to dismantle the Department of Education. We've kind of slowly talked about that.
Okay.
They want to streamline services and they want to cut barriers and empower states.
Okay. That's crazy. We're gonna get more into that, but in a little bit.
As a father of a disabled child with autism, it's great to hear that.
As an uncle of a nephew with autism, that is absolutely awful to hear. I'll be honest with you, but we're gonna get more into that. But before we do that, we're going to jump into a word that I use to describe myself often. And last week, when Chris asked me, "Hey, Chidi, do you just define yourself as a socialist?" I said to him, "I don't like labels. I'm a humanist first." But I said I'm a humanist first, right? So for some people, they might not know what that means. So today we're going to dive into the thought process or the ethos of what humanism is. All right. Now, I figured I'll talk about this because it seems like this is a unknown thing because I remember me and you were talking about it on our own chat, and you were asking like, hey, you want to know the tenets of its like of it as a religion, right?
Yeah, so I kind of I put them out, I put in some questions, and I just asked, just the, first and foremost, like, what is a humanist, right? And then I kind of then asked a few more questions and asked, what is the opposition for those who, you know, for those who speak against people who are humanists or practice humanism, right? And what came back to me is that it can be seen as a de facto religion,
Yeah.
as a secular, as a pretty much as a non-religious, ethics-based worldview, which it fits as a de facto, right? It's a
So
secular,
I
a
would say that,
secular, secular religion, a little bit.
I mean, I guess, but I'm gonna be honest with you how I look at it because
Okay.
reason why when you asked me about if I'm a socialist and I said, you know what, I like labels, but if I'm gonna say something, I'm a humanist first. And I also said I'm still exploring how I stand politically. Is because I don't see humanist as a religion at all. Like I see it more as an ethical stance. And I think I want to show a video here real quick
Okay.
of what the same thing you showed last week. This is the same, but shout out to Jew Almighty. He covers a lot of things like we do, but he's a YouTuber that covers, black media. And he covered the the what's his name? Officer Tatum and Gary Chambers conversation.
Okay.
And there was a moment in this conversation that I thought was interesting that I think I need to clarify on why this is problematic from his stance, but also indicate why I see where Tatum is coming from, but not from the same place I'm coming from. Okay, does that make any sense?
It does because that is a in I think I'm loud. Um that usually happens when you're like, damn, I agree with a nigga I don't like.
I don't agree with
You
him.
know?
I'll tell you this. I do not agree with him.
Okay.
But he had cut up this moment where Officer Tatum is being asked if he's black first, and I also say I'm not black first. I'm a human first, you
He
know?
said this on Stephen A. Smith, so
Yeah,
let's see it
exactly.
from Roberto.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
I'm not sure if this is the part of the video, so just bear with me here.
That's fine, brother.
To whitewash slavery like it wasn't one of the greatest human atrocities we've ever known.
We weren't the only ones. So we took the brunt of a lot of it. This country has not always been great to black people. I acknowledge that. Can we understand that? But to act as if we're still living in this perpetual state of racism that has something to do with your everyday life, that we ain't never gonna be able to come together if you believe that, man.
So you hear what he said. We're never going to be able to come together if you believe that. All right, boom. And then here's them debating.
And sold through slave trade around the world. Majority of us went to South America.
We did.
United States of America that we know today.
If you would not consider yourself stolen, that's something wrong with your internal compass.
Stolen by who?
No, I'm not rolling.
Whoever
Okay,
stole
by
you
black
for another
and
country.
white people.
Not wrong with who?
Damn, I didn't even let the joint play first, nigga. My bad. My bad.
I just didn't even know what you were talking about. Yeah.
Gary said if you don't consider yourself stolen, there's something wrong with you. I don't consider myself stolen. I do consider I don't consider myself stolen. I do consider heritage being pillaged. I do believe that some ideologies that we've had previously were, but I consider myself being part of a system. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I love where you're going with it because this is what I'm saying. Like when it comes to black people, we're not a monolith. So what I love about the discussion is that we can have difference of opinions and different perspectives, even though we may all be black, you know, and all have their lane and appearances. Because I'll be honest with you, I have a problem with what Gary said too. Like
Okay.
considering yourself stolen is a it's almost like you're considering yourself as property still. You
Yes,
know?
yes, and I can't roll with that. I can't
Yeah,
roll with that.
exactly. It's almost like
Not right now. Not right now.
no, not right now. I mean, you could say consider that they did steal black people, and it's a time frame of when they did that and where and when we have our freedom, then we were born into a world where we weren't slaves. So do I think that we're stolen? Not necessarily. However, I will say that we are still in a white supremacist system. I'm not gonna hold back on that. I'm not gonna act like we're not living in an unjust system to black people.
Absolutely.
But considering ourselves stolen, me stolen, no, I can't do that.
I
But
can't. I can't roll with that. Yeah. But let's see what the good brother Gary and Officer Tatum
God.
talking about.
When you talk about the slave trade, and you said we were enslaved and then traded all over the world. Who were those people?
You know you're tripping when you got Stephen A. Smith out here looking and talking like Malcolm X.
We were enslaved and then traded all over the world. Who were those people? Black people.
Well,
what I'm trying to say,
no,
what
no,
I'm
what
trying
I'm
to say,
saying is my
I'm simply saying if you identify with that from an historical perspective, these are my ancestors. This is what we endured. This is where I come from, and that's what I identify with first, because to some degree I'm still feeling some remnants of that even in today's society. I'm saying if you identify yourself as black before you identify yourself as American, what you're doing is saying, coming out of the womb, I'm going to be at a disadvantage because I'm in America and I'm going to have to scratch and claw and have an uphill climb. Now, that doesn't mean you give up. That doesn't mean you use it as a crutch.
Stephen A. went even deeper than I went initially. Like, I wasn't even talking about the historical context in America of being black, but everything he's saying is facts. When you are born black in America specifically, you automatically have certain challenges. You automatically have certain disadvantages. And identifying yourself as black has nothing to do with anybody else. To identify yourself as anything other than black first, especially when you're talking about, I'm an American before I'm black, that's just crazy. Like, what are you talking about? You're an American before you're black?
I mean, you give up. That doesn't mean you
he's
use it as
mad.
a crutch. It doesn't mean that you sit up there and use that as a reason to be lackadaisical and have a defeatist attitude and don't work your way and maneuver your way through that terrain in order to get to that point. But it does mean you at least acknowledging that, there are historical, insidious acts that are associated with this particular nation that I live in. And as a result, I recognize the fact that I'm going to have to march forward, and it's going to be a uphill climb for me to get to where I'm going. If somebody identifies that with blackness, you can do that.
But Stephen A., that's not always true that every black person have to suffer an uphill climb. That's not true. And we'll go back to like what I said. My ancestors came from Nigeria, so I know that, through my ancestry.com research,
We don't claim them.
my people came over here as slaves. Not every black person in America came from slavery. It wasn't the case. Not every black person in America migrated here and was in the South. Some of them went to the North and were in indentured service.
Immigrating is completely different than coming over here as slaves. When we talk about black Americans, I'm talking about American descendants of slavery. I don't think anybody who is an American descendant of slavery would identify as anything before black. You're not going to say I'm an American before I'm black. If anything, I'm a black American. And there's a whole bunch of history and context to go with that. But it's just idiotic to say anything other than I'm black first. I'm not a Christian before I'm black. I'm not a father before I'm black. I'm not a business owner before I'm black. I am black first, and then everything else follows.
And they never were slaves. Some black people came over here and became slave owners and were not slaves themselves. So it's a very dynamic differentiation between the experience of black people in its totality as existing in America. So me saying I'm black first before I'm an American, I think that's a misnomer. I think that's you're pigeonholing yourself, because if you are going to say I'm black, that means negative.
Why does black mean
See,
negative? He is so
That's
whitewashed
where
and bought into
I got.
the
Thank you.
anti-black.
Thank you. You see it right there too. The problem with Officer Tatum, he has a problem with his blackness. To me, that's what I think. When I say I'm a humanist first, and we'll get into the definition in a second of what that is. I'm never saying I'm not black. when I say that. I want to make that clear. I'm never saying that I don't represent Black Americans, even though I'm, a descendant of Nigerian immigrants. I'm still born in America and I'm Black. Sorry, guys, I'm Black American too. Sorry, I didn't choose this, but I'm just not a foundational Black American, with that's fine. But I look at Officer Tatum and I feel bad sometimes because he's almost saying that everything associated with Black people is negative. And if I put Black first, that means I'm somehow an inferior person. It's like he wants a proximity to whiteness that makes him feel more comfortable, that he's on a level playing field mentally. And maybe that helps him because mentally he doesn't look at any type of barriers and he gets to then, work through that regardless of there being some or not. But I do think that he discredits Black people based on their perspective of trying to understand this world through a Black lens and seeing it for what is really happening sometimes.
But I will ask you this though: seeing things through a Black lens, isn't that also kind of his point? Like, or to the humanist point, like we don't you at that point of the definition or at that point of the conversation, first things first, like a Black, because we ask, we're like, we're not a monolith. So for him to identify, quote unquote, as Black,
American, he identifies as American. I'm talking about Tatum.
Yeah, okay, he identifies as okay. So
which is a very interesting thing to say. Like if you identify as American, that's fine. But when it comes to the hierarchy of Black American or American and Black, that means you're then going to do what's, to me, in my mind, you look at yourself as trying to do things to benefit America before you try to look at things to benefit your people, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now,
well, which is something I've always asked about, like that would be my thing. What has America as a whole? And I guess Officer Tatum is presenting himself like, hey man, I was born without no shackles on me. I was born without having to, be a pick-me and go out to the field. I was born with the opportunity to put myself on a level playing field. So where a lot of Black people do have this inferiority complex as why we battle white people and the infrastructure so much. And Officer Tatum's like, nigga, I ain't never looked at a white nigga that I was inferior of. That's what I kind of get from him.
And I kind of agree with that. I kind of never looked at myself as like inferior to somebody, and in a way, and it's not like it's almost like we almost are defeatists because we are. That's the way it is sometimes. And I try not to live that way. Of like, well, it's gonna be like that. What these white people are gonna do. You already
as a Black person.
Yeah, especially.
I don't even apply for this job. I don't even try to go out there to school. Mm-hmm. I don't even try to expand my horizons. I don't even try.
Everything is put against us. Everything is stacked against us. Although it is like I can't tell you for sure because I'm not the person giving me a job, but you think that my name alone on an application hasn't gotten myself overlooked for like tech positions and different corporate positions because they prefer somebody named Josh? Like, let's be real. Like, this is just a real thing that happens. Like, now, am I going to ignore them? Like, well, it doesn't matter that my name is Chidi and it's different. Like, and, I'm an American, so if I just work hard, no, I'm going to act like, I'm going to be real. There's a real bias here, That we are a minority, and I think we can be honest and say that. Let's continue with this a little bit. I'm not sure if they're going to get to but
that's fine. We can roll with it. We can roll with it.
Propaganda that a Black person would see being Black as a negative or use it as a pejorative is crazy work.
Putting yourself at a disadvantage, man. And I say I'm an American first because I believe in American values. My ancestors fought that I can be free in this country. All of our ancestors were not the same, didn't come from the same countries, didn't speak the same languages. We are a diverse people, and we don't need to be looking at a skin color because I don't agree with a lot of stuff Black people do. We ain't the same people.
On one hand,
that's true.
Yeah, true. I don't agree with what he does. We ain't the same people, you know? I don't agree with what Officer Tatum does, but what I think is he feeds into the negative stereotypes of us, you know? I think that's what what I mean, I would have to talk to him to really know what he means by that, but from what I get from him is that I don't feed into the rap culture. I don't feed into the drugs and guns. And like, guy, but there's so much more to being black than that. It's like he's looking at black people from the lens of white America, you know. And I have never done that.
Yeah, that is true to an extent, because there is a lot of black people that I don't identify as Officer Tate, from around the way, from around the neighborhood, that still are there, that saw it go from prominent to poverty to, and they saw the shift of Black American culture in America. They saw the stripping away of community. They saw the stripping away of education. They didn't see a fight back, and they seen generations deteriorate. So to his point, there are grandfathers, grandmothers, great aunts, great uncles, shit, just regular aunts and uncles from my mom and dad's lineage that will look at a black man, black girl, black name, call it ghetto, call him this, call them that, call this part of the neighborhood this. Like, there is rotten ignorance built in the deterioration of what was once prominent in a community or communal of black people. So I do kind of can see what you're saying is like he's seeing it from a white lens, but the way that, again, it has been structured, right? He's living within a structure and he's only seeing the product of that structure. Now, he might not be smart enough to understand why the current situation is what it is, and he can only articulate from the vantage point of what I see. Mm-hmm. So and that's not me shooting him no bill. That's just me understanding ignorance. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, because I happen to be ignorant.
But even the white people don't fuck with him, and that's the thing. Like
yeah, they don't fuck with him because he's black.
Exactly. Like the people that he wants to side with on certain things, they don't really fuck with him, bro.
Cool. Why date someone paid by Israel who can't read?
Yeah, it's a shame. Brandon Tatum, he can't read. It's actually sad. I feel sorry for him. I think he's just embarrassed. I don't think he's a bad guy. I just think he feels embarrassed that he can't read. It's got to be so awkward. Imagine you go with Brandon Tatum to a restaurant that he's never been to before, and they hand him a menu and he's looking at it and he's like pretending to scan the words. And you're like, so Brandon, what do you think you're going to order? And he's like sweating. I don't know. What you gonna order? And you're like, I don't know. I just can't make up my mind. What do you think? I got to go to the bathroom, man. I got to go to the bathroom.
You sagging your pants and gang banging and doing stuff that you're not supposed to, we ain't the same. If you doing the right thing and raising your kids and having a family and doing all that stuff, then we are more similar. I have more similarities with white people than I do with some black people.
And I think that's the issue, and I want to get to when I talk about I'm humanist first. Because when I'm humanist, I'm not looking at people because of the color first. I think I'm opening myself up to see people for their actions, for their words, for how they treat people inside and out.
Okay.
When you look at the definition of humanist, this is a ethical stance. This is not a political stance. This is not a religious stance. This is an ethical stance of how I approach life. Humanism is a philosophical and ethical stance that emphasizes the value, agency, and potential of human beings. And as you know me, I always look at, even before I knew the meaning of this word, I'm like, I believe in the good in people. Since 6553, I've been telling you, man, I'm trying to see the good in people, whether it be you or Days or my ex or whoever I came to contact with. I give people a chance, whether they're white, black people at work. I I genuinely want to see the good in society and people. Now, after repeated displays of harmful things I've seen to society or to people or to whatever, I then have a judgment I can make on you that shows me that you're not somebody I can trust, or somebody I can look up to, or somebody I can listen to or take advice from. And that's what makes me different from where I don't just dismiss people because of race. I also just don't immediately trust people just because of race. You know, I'm not like Officer Tatum, who's going to say, if you think that you're with American values, then I'm going to trust whatever you say. Because what is American values, brother? You know, because if you say you're American first, you're going to be going for whoever says they're for American values. You're more like me. You believe in American values. But what is American values, brother? They're over here stripping away the voting rights of black people, and you don't care. You don't care because you know why? You say you're American first. You don't care about the fact that the collective of black people and their experience here is going to be harmed from that. That they're not going to be able to vote for their voice is going to be less. It's going to be more diluted. And the fact that this country has gone through slavery and that we're dealing with the descendants of people from slavery means that you're not seeing the human in the black people you didn't claim to not be about, or gangbanging or whatever. You know, listen, it doesn't mean they don't require a voice. Doesn't mean they're not entitled to a voice. I think that humanism, for me, stems from a strong stance, a strong ethical stance on human rights first for all human beings. Understanding that I see beyond the capitalist structure, see beyond the racial paradigms they've taught us, because you got to realize that this division between race is very much taught. You know, don't get me wrong, it's very much real, but on both ends of the spectrum, whether you're white or black or Asian or Latino, we are taught to look at other people differently. You know, and I'm trying to dismantle that from my own life. And that's why I choose to be labeled as a humanist before I'm black. Now, granted, I'm still black before I'm American. So never get that twisted. I'm still understanding the plight of people who look like me and how the world can change to benefit the disenfranchised. And granted, if the world was different and we were the majority here in America, and we were setting up laws to disenfranchise white people, as a humanist, I would be for their liberation. Straight up. Because it's not about this person's skin tone or who's in charge or me just trying to align myself to somebody who's in power. It's about a philosophical stance on having the dignity to say, hey, how do we see the best in people and allow them to speak up and have their peace? I'm not afraid of conflict. I do think conflict is a part of this conversation. I do think that me saying I'm a humanist before I'm black is going to be controversial to some people, but I do think that that conversation should be had, and I'm not afraid of that.
Now, with everything that Officer Tate is kind of documenting and putting on record right now, where do you necessarily where is he right at by any is he right by any means? Like where is he is
I'll say
he,
this, the part where he said we can't move past, we can't I forget the words he used, but he said something like we can't. He says we're never going to be able to come together if you believe that the racist past has something to do with your life. That is a false statement to me, but it's twofold. The second part is that we ain't never going to be able to come together. And the first part is to think that slavery has something to do with your everyday life. Sorry, Officer, but the history of this country is it is. God, like you got to look at the majority of people that are making the rules here in America. They haven't lived the life of a black person. So they don't understand the struggles of a black person. So they want to diminish the experiences of black people. Thus, the laws will never reflect what's going to actually help the hood or help people who are coming from, even black people in suburbs, just black people who are dealing with racism on a regular basis, who are like, hey man, do I have to sit here and get called this at school? Get called different, just they won't have the empathy because they haven't lived it. So on that first part of the conversation where he says that slavery is not affecting your everyday life, it is still. It's remnants of it. It's not like we're slaved, but it is still affecting us. The second part of us not being able to come together, I get the sentiment there, and I think that is what I'm trying to say. I kind of agree on us trying to come together. Whereas some people who say I'm black first, I'm white first, whatever, will consistently butt heads because they will never see opportunities for unification.
So where we at now when you ask, are we humanists? I want you to now then kind of explain to me, if you haven't already, where do you kind of where do you lie at? Like where is your foundation piece on being a humanist, if you don't mind me asking? According to
I'll say this.
what I researched. Go ahead.
No.
What
Finish
you
what you were saying. Finish what you were saying, because I want to hear what you're saying. Then I want to give.
Well, so all right. So I asked you the ideologies of a humanist, right? And so the ethical ideologies that you spoke about, the rationalism, right, that you spoke about, and the universal human dignity, right? So we're already kind of seeing leaving things up to human is not as advantageous, because again, we're all not in the same thought, we're not in the same ideology, we're not in the same think tank. So as a humanist, clearly we have people that will, the purpose of it is for from what I'm understanding, is to give autonomy back to the being of a person, not to live by a divine kind of being or a sacred text or whatever the case
To
may
me,
be.
it's
So
not even like that. It's just more of an ethical thing.
okay,
Like I approach everything or every conversation or every, topic, every controversy from a standpoint of, all right, this is one human and this is one human. Where do I see
okay.
the logic in this? Where do I see the justice in this? Let's talk about the Carmelo Anthony case, for instance. Are you familiar with that?
Yep.
Like, listen, Carmelo Anthony was in a tent at a school. White boys pull up, tell him to get out. He ends up, unfortunately, stabbing one of them after they pushed him on the ground, and he ends up going to jail now. And I do think that, he murdered the kid. He admitted to murdering the kid. He should be put in prison for some time. I do think that it was unjust to not allow there to be any jurors that were, black. And I do think that it was a setup for him. However, at the same time, somebody lost their son because of an altercation at a track meet. And I feel for the parents of the white kid, even if they're racist. I feel for the parents of losing the life of a son, and a lot of people won't be able to say that. A lot of people will see it as, yeah, well, he's defending himself, and so what? He should be able to get off on, self-defense, stand your ground kind of stuff. And from my standpoint, I can see both sides, and it's not more of an equality thing. It's more of like, this is like an involuntary manslaughter case to me. He should get maybe 4 or 5 years, but he ended up getting 35, which I think is extremely injustice. And I think it's because he's black. So I'm looking at it from a standpoint of the humans involved, and I allow for humans to have flaws. Like, he was scared, he was getting pushed around. I also see that these guys were, he was in their tent, and they were trying to, how in high school people try to puff up their chest and do things how kids can be, and I think it's a tragedy on both sides that both two families are destroyed because of that altercation. In another universe, these two kids could be best friends, and I think of that when I look at the case. But I do think that a lot of that nuance gets lost when we put race on it. I do. I think the nuance of the race comes into play for me when I look at the sentence he got. That's the only thing that I look at when I with the race. I think that he should get involuntary manslaughter. That's what he should have gotten. Because you can't end the life of somebody and not have some accountability for that, even if it was unintentional. You have to be. But the race comes in from a standpoint of looking at the jurors, looking at the judge, and the town that he was in. I don't give a fuck about the dad who went online saying a bunch of racist shit. I don't really care about that. I think that he's sick in the head, and I also think that he lost a son, and he's crashing out. So I do have some grace in that, but I also can see why some people wouldn't, because they're looking at this from a black perspective first. And I'm black first. How dare this person say and make these jokes about a black kid, And that's why I'm trying to explain to you how I look at situations. And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying this is my choice of living through life, because I would like to be a person that is more of I would like to live in a state of life where I'm not consistently looking on preconceived notions of people based on their skin color. So that's why I'm a humanist first. Although I can acknowledge that I'm black, and I can also acknowledge the struggles of me being black that I've experienced firsthand, whether it be in the hospitals, whether it be with law enforcement, whether it be in school. I've, trust me, dealt with my own, and I've dealt with my own struggle being Nigerian with black people. But I'm never going to use all those traumas to then paint the next situation I encounter with a black person, a white person, my next school, my next law enforcement encounter, my next whatever, and that's why I choose to be a humanist first, if that makes sense to you.
So with the ethical,
we got a comment by code.the. So the verdict has to be unanimous. In the child verdict, there were blacks on the jury, and he got off.
Where was that comment at?
It's on. I think it's on Twitch, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on Twitch.
Okay.
Shout out to code.the. Listen, I hear you, and I wasn't talking about a child case per se. I was talking about the Carmelo Anthony case. But even in that case, I don't care if you're black or white. It's not going to make sure that there's justice served. The child case, I think he also should be in jail. If you're looking at a blanket statement, chasing a kid down 100 yards plus, is outrageous. You don't have to instigate that once he's ran away. He had a choice to leave and stop the altercation. So he should have some accountability when he ends the life of a young kid, in my opinion.
So I'm now then kind of then when we're now in the ethical portions of this conversation, I really want to now then dissect the moment of where we can then now, I guess, implement, because the reason why I'm kind of, I asked this. Let me scroll up all the way to my question.
You said ZDR4EV said having black jurors mean you wanted him to get off, hoping the black jurors would be on. No,
that's
no. I didn't want him to get off. I do think that should be. I think that there's a bias with human beings. That's what I'm speaking to, a bias with human beings.
Absolutely.
You know, and I don't think
Absolutely.
that majority of people are humanists. I think majority of people are looking at it from this black kid killed a white kid. You know what I mean? I'm not saying majority of people I want him to get off. No, I'm saying that that's because from what I've heard, there were black people that could be jurors and they told them to go home. Like, so that's what I'm getting at. It's not from a standpoint of I just want him to get off. I want you to clear that clearly.
And to that comment, bro.
I'm sorry, that's
We're
GZDR4F. All right, go ahead.
Well, when we're asking about having a few black jurors on the case, we're simply just asking, you know, nigga, who on jury duty? Like, are we just sending it to, like, when we say a juror of our peers, my peers would have to, in some form, shape, or facet, look, you know, have ideologies, have some type of resonant, like, to be what is a peer, right? Let's just start there. Like, when we say when we say jury of our peers, let's just ask that question. What do you believe a jury of your peers? Since we got comments in
Yeah.
the chats.
If you're here with us still, GZDR4F, what is a peer? Honestly, like let's start there. But in the meantime, we'll continue our conversation. And on humanism, like that's how I decipher things, you know, if that makes sense to you, bro. Like I try, and I think you know me enough to know, okay, how Chidi's gonna go and tackle something. Like just because there's a lot of anti-Semitic stuff going on with the Israel stuff, I can't lump it all into one box. I try to get away from that because I don't want to just be blinded by people with other agendas, you know, because Israel is now getting money from the United States government and then use that to then start this whole like anti-Semitic thing. You know, I can't join that mentally because I do think that there's victims in Israel. There's victims in Palestine. There's victims here in the state of corporations and powerful litigators that are making decisions beyond what we can control. And also, we're also victims of being taught a certain way. And I'm trying to dismantle the programming that I've been given my whole life to see what is this life we live in about. One thing we know, we gotta eat, sleep, shit, piss. These are just regular human things that we all got to. We all bleed. You know, we gotta. You know, these are the things that we have to do. And nowhere do we wake up and say, "Oh, you have to now suffer for your existence." So so you being a humanist comes from a standpoint of believing that every human being, no matter if you're old, young, woman, man, gay, straight, black, white, disabled, completely able, you deserve a quality of life that is dignified. I believe that everybody should have a home and fresh water and food. And you know, I believe it's possible for these things to happen. And I don't think you should have to work 80 hours to get these things, you know? And if you're not working 80 hours, it's your fault that you're hungry and that you can't get any water. Like that's where then we get into this me versus you thing where we have to be better than one another and then say, why are you not having the things I have? Oh, must be because you have a different skin tone than me. It's the most obvious thing. And we start to overly judge it. Or it must be because, you know, most of the people that are in Hollywood are Jewish, you know, so they must have something against everybody else and they control the industry. Hey, listen, on some levels, they have a lot of power, yes. But I can't say every single scenario is that you know, a black dude didn't get a job or a woman didn't get a job is because they weren't Jewish. You know what I mean? I have to look at each case scenario for what it is. Whereas making assumptions based on what we've heard, oh, you know why? It kind of like stops the conversation in a way where we assume things about circumstances. So it's a more of a principled, ethical way of looking into the world than a religious one, than a political one. Now, granted, that will help me define my political stances because of how I ethically look at things more sternly, you know,
So a few
and
like
my
so
religious
the
stances too.
now that's what I wanted to ask. Now, how are you with religion realistically? Like because there has to be, in my mind, when we speak about the universe moral code, right, or the universal moral code that kind of falls under humanism. How do like how does that fit? Where do you see? Because from what I understand, like you know, humanism explicitly answers some of these questions that I have. Right, the purpose is created by human connection. We should live to leave the world in a better place than we found it, and death is a natural end to biological life. So when you
Damn,
hear
mind you, I've
that,
never read that. I've never read that,
okay,
but it
okay,
resonates with me. And mind you, I've never read that, but I've said these things on this podcast, right?
right.
I've said it to you before in private, you know. So yeah, I resonate with that.
So the what a lot of people are what the pushback that's where I was getting at. The pushback to humanism, uh, uh, as people call it, a quasi religion, is because the communal belief behind this is that the supernatural and divine elements behind it, there is not necessarily just what people worship as the content, right, in religion. It's about how the belief system behaves in society, which is the actual function. So when we're speaking about humanism and the function of, right, is there a one way, or do you believe there's a one way, or is there several ways to practice humanism?
Like I keep saying, it's an ethical thing. You know, it's not a practice to me. You know, now if you were to say there's a practice to spirituality, yeah, there is, because I'm more of a spiritualist than any type of religion. I don't abide by religion and indoctrinating myself into saying that this is what happened in the world and this is how you should live. I do not believe in that. I get why people would say this is like a more religious thing, and maybe for some people it is a religion. I'm just gonna throw that out there. To me, it's an ethical way to approach things in life, and to approach people. You know, listen, man, I almost died, bro, like because of my conditions, and because of when I came out of that, I had to find purpose in life. You know, listen,
Okay.
man, after we got the pod yesterday, one of my roommates when I was in the hospital, I look on Facebook and he passed away, and he had sickle cell just like me. And whenever he would see me post on Facebook, he would reach out and say, "Hey, man, brother, I see you, and you're looking healthy. Keep going, keep doing your thing." As recent as a couple months ago, when I accidentally posted one of our clips to Facebook, he's the only comment on it, and he said,
Mm.
he said, you know, spreading the knowledge, brother. Like, you know, you're looking healthy." And I said, "Thanks, brother." And I wish I reached out to him again. I wish I checked in on him and said, "How are you feeling?" You know, because after I got out the hospital and I survived my situation with my battles with sickle cell anemia, I just looked at the world differently, man. I looked at it from a standpoint of this reality or whatever we're doing here called life is about people. It's about the bonds we make. We all know this is a temporary experience where you don't want to believe it. We don't want to even talk about it because we love our people. We love our family. We love our friends. We love our jobs or whatever it may be, our car, our house, or our advancement, our money, whatever you worship, whatever you want to do, your passions. And we like, no, 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 no. You can't even think about the end because we're here now. And I'm fine with that. But for me, going through that experience made me really think about the end because it almost happened. And it makes me think about the end when situations like people who are in my condition have had their end come already. And I feel like a little bit of remorse, um, or a little bit of survivor's guilt. So that's my own, you know, dealings with my anxiety and so like that I deal with on a regular basis. But when I saw that, it hit me, and the last words he said to me was that I'm spreading knowledge, and he wants to keep spreading the knowledge. And I said, thank you, brother. And that's why I'm going to keep doing what I do here and spread the knowledge of the world and how I see it from my point of view. Because some people will say it's like a dream, or I'm being a utopist or something like that. It's not even about that. But the words you just said, leave the world a better place than we are now, is really the ethos that I just try to exist in. Wherever I come in. So now that I have a life to live, and people have lost their lives, what am I doing with the life force I still got? And I believe it's a responsibility of me to, when I encounter other people, to leave them off better than when I encountered them. And I can't allow any preconceived notions to taint that opportunity of growth. I can't let any preconceived notion of how I used to get treated by some girl in high school to then determine how I fall in love in the future. I can't let some type of situation I dealt with the cop, and the cop threatened to mace me and throw me on the ground, to determine how I deal with the next police officer. I can't let the last time somebody was racist to me in my face determine how I encounter the next person that's of a different race than me. I can't determine those things. I got to treat every interaction as an opportunity of growth, and every interaction as trying to be my best self for my time I have here, And I think being a humanist, you start to then look at life not from a standpoint of how much money you got, not from a standpoint of, oh my God, how much, what do I got to accomplish? It becomes a journey, and it becomes very spiritual in a way, because we only have the now, as I mentioned last week, but and in the now, I get to then impact somebody, maybe say a kind word, maybe brighten their day, maybe say a joke, maybe just give them a smile. Maybe that's all it is. And if I'm dealing with the world from a standpoint of being a black man solely, and that first, there's a level of, for me, I'm not saying for everybody else, for me, there's a level of aggression that I would have based on me assuming how you look at me, based on me assuming that you're like the people that I used to be, that I used to encounter, And it's not just with that. It comes in many forms, like I said, with dating and with police officers, with teachers, with school, just using any type of preconceived notion to paint a human off of something that I was told or something I experienced in the past. So now it's a blank slate every single time I walk around. And it allows room for me to have friends of way different ages than me that are like older, way like 60s, 70s, have friends that are way different races than me. I've had friends that were different sexuality in the past, that, I'm not homosexual at all, but I can see you for a human being and see you for a person that deserves to exist and have a good life. And we can have a genuine conversation, and we can go our separate ways. Like I have the ability to now connect in this world in a way, because I look at things as a human first, and I want humans to have a better life. I can see a struggling man in New York City and, give him a $20 bill, which I've done, which that's my last, bit of money, and say, hey, it's my last bit. Let me just give him, I can't even break change because I only get a $20 bill. Hey, go get something to eat, because I'm going to figure it out. And that's going to help him out in that moment. I have no idea what he's going to use it for. It might be used for drugs. He might not. I don't know. But it gives him a chance, an opportunity, and a choice. Now you got a choice.
Like you said, it's not your jurisdiction as to what he does after you decide that you're going to assist him. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like that's where we, that's where we kind of fall from, like dictating, what it is that. And I think that, when we talk about being, what it takes to be a human and what it takes for someone to put somebody else first, you know what I mean? Like a lot of, we don't really necessarily have that, and so um I got another, I'm sorry, I got another excuse me, um where I'm asking, bear with me, I'm trying to find my
But yeah,
placement in
man,
my
rest
notes.
in peace, J. Rome. Man, he was always kind to me, and unfortunately, he didn't have the luxuries of getting a bone marrow transplant like I did. So when I see people who are dealing with sickle cell anemia, it reminds me of when I used to be like that. And the fact that we lost him, and the last time he mentioned a comment was telling me to keep spreading knowledge. Now I feel like there's an obligation for me to continue to do that. Maybe there's a message in your last messages to me, and I want to say rest in peace, and God bless you and your family. God bless your spirit and your family, and may they get through this tough time with
That
grace.
that was very much needed for you and the people that's going through it. And what's crazy was I didn't want to bring something uh to you about Alden Smith. We was just talking about Alden Smith, right?
Yeah,
A couple days ago, just freestyle talking about Alden Smith,
yeah,
and made an off kilter joke about um being being able to handle yourself. And unfortunately, he passed with it seems to be uh, self-inflicting injury, or it might have been natural causes, but it is kind of um, sad, as not he wasn't he needed assistance, he needed help, he needed a community, he needed somebody to be a rally around him, and you know give him encouragement, give him a place to feel. And I know these two things are different, but losing someone without, again, help. He just said he wasn't able to receive help. He wasn't able to receive, things to extend his life, and that extends also to Alden Smith, who wasn't able to receive all of the necessary help necessary to extend his life. And it gets sad at this point, because here we are, we're talking about being first and foremost human, right? And having and being an empath,
yeah.
right? And feeling what, damn, he was lonely, or damn, what is his family going through right now, or damn, it could have been me. Like all of those real emotions, you know what I'm saying? Kind of do allow you to be like, yo, like, what is going on? You know what I mean? Like, what we doing? You know what I'm saying? And so when we speak about the morality that is bound from the human empathy and science and the pursuit of reducing suffering on Earth, um,
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
it, it fits into the ideology of being um, ethical. But then again, what does that read into? What is being ethical? You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Well, we determine
That's
what that
something
is, and I think that
else.
people, and I think that ethics come from what you believe is your primary ethos of how you move through life. So what I may deem ethical, you might not. Ethics is a big debate. So I'm just telling you what I think is ethical. Like, do I think that kids should be starving while we have a trillionaire in the world? I do not, because it could be solved. Do I think that people should have dirty water so people can make billions off of AI data centers? I do not. I think that's just wrong. That is, some people think it's the survival of the fittest, and if they gotta have dirty water, so what? And that's their ethical stance, and I just don't agree with that. So it's tough.
It's tough, and I don't know if you have anything more on this, but um, as you just, as you brought up a trillionaire being, um, being a trillionaire in this world in this lifetime, um, he's a person who battled through adversity himself. He's a person that has disabilities, who is autistic, I believe, or on the autistic spectrum. So, like, in combination of him being the richest man in the world, him having a disability, him being able to help those with disability or stop famine or the famine state, or for him to be able to uh, talk to the president who he has the ear of, and like, hey man, I don't really think that this guy should be running, you know, but like we lose. We lose ourselves in this world sometimes, unfortunately, for personal gain. It kind of really doesn't, it doesn't really as we talk about it and giving ourselves hope, and we try to talk ourselves through, we try to talk ourselves off the ledge a bit. We do try to figure out, where is people's ethical compass?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
And that's
where
where
is that? What is?
yeah, and that's where it gets tough, because now we're talking about, all right, you take me, a humanist, you take you, I'm not sure what you ethically stand by or label yourself, or if you don't have any labels, that's fine. But you take anybody, you take people and put them together, and there's a whole bunch of people together mixed up, and they all have their own ethical stances. And we call that politics. We call that, and we all like, all right, now we got to come to a consensus, right? Now we got to make sure that, okay, what's right for all of us, and where you stand with all that. And that's going to take us to our second topic with this RFK situation. Now, we have to choose, okay, who's in charge to tell us what's right for this department, for this situation? And people have decided that RFK is the man to tell us what is right for our Department of Health. And, oh my God. All right, so I got another comment here from GZDR4EV. He said, "What is the difference between you giving that homeless guy $20 versus giving your last 20 to a church donation box or a charity Santa Claus? I've done. You and I did it to make ourselves feel good. That $20 didn't change that person's life one bit. Same with the charities, because they were back out there." I'll say this, man.
You got it. You got it. Okay, go ahead.
Wait, what do you want to?
Okay,
I don't want. Let me get it, because he was asking me.
okay, go
Listen,
ahead. Go ahead.
listen.
Go ahead. You got it.
The goal is to ease suffering for even for a moment. I'm gonna die one day. That guy's gonna die one day. The charities it's not different, honestly. You're giving your last $20 to a religious organization or a Santa Claus charity. That's you being a good person, right? I'm just saying the choice came to me because I see the human first. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong or one's better than the other. I'm saying the choice came to me because I see the human behind, and I see the suffering in his eyes. And I believe morally and ethically that, hey, I can do without this $20. I'll figure it out tomorrow. I'm going to walk to work tomorrow. And that's when I was living in the city. It was not just him. There was a couple. I remember, like, giving out $5 to two homeless people. Then the guy sitting across from me, he's like, yeah, I'm homeless too. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, but it was a day where I had to ask myself, can I do without? And I'm not saying that it's a right or wrong decision, gentlemen. I'm not saying like you have to do this. But I'm saying that I don't judge this human being off of where he is. And I don't know if that $20 changed his life. For all I know, it might have been $20 that he could use to see his daughter that he hasn't seen in a month and get a bus ticket. I have no clue. But he's given a chance to see a daughter, and that does change and impact people. And he was, so that's the conversation he was having at me these times. Like he hadn't seen his daughter, and maybe it was just a story, and maybe I'm just naive and I'm stupid. Maybe he used it just get a burger. I don't know, but I did it at the goodness of my heart because I do believe that reducing suffering in this world should be a priority, and that's just my beliefs. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying that's how I ethically move. But thank you for the comment. I thank you for being here. I appreciate you. What were you gonna say? What were you gonna say?
For me, what I was just gonna say was okay. For me, what I was gonna say was that the conversation that we had about, he's saying, what's the difference between you giving a homeless man $20 or giving your last $20 to a church donation box or a charity in Syracuse? He's done it. We did it to make ourselves feel good. I would stop there.
Yeah.
That was not
the purpose.
That's not me doing something, bro. Because if it's my last $20, nigga, that ain't making me feel good at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if I just came out of Publix,
I could have got some
and
chicken
I just
and
got
rice.
the family some food.
Yeah, I could
What
have.
you talking about? If I knew I walked into Publix and I got $100 and I spent 80, and my last dub is gas for the week, but I got gas right now, right? And somebody catches me outside and it's the Salvation
And you don't
Army,
got change,
or
so
it
you're
is,
like, oh man. Now you have a
or
choice.
it's
Do I
the
give him a
baseball kid
lot of?
that's outside.
Yeah, it's a lot. $20
Exactly,
is a
bro.
lot to just give somebody, right? Or to just hold it. And maybe you caught me on a good day. Maybe on another day I wouldn't have done it. I'm not acting like I'm just this good person all around. I'm just saying that that's the lens I try to see the world from. I try to
Absolutely.
be intentional about seeing the human being first. And I was able to hear the guy's story. He had told me his whole story and what he's been going through. And then that's when I gave him the 20. It wasn't like I just said, hey, here's $20 and I feel like a good person. It wasn't that at all. It wasn't. But I wouldn't have heard the story if I just looked at him and just judged him immediately, off of his skin tone. He wasn't black, by the way, off of his skin tone, off of whatever his dress, of what he was wearing, or him being in the subway and being homeless. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I did look at all those circumstances and the programming that we get put in our heads about these type of people. We do it to make us feel better about ourselves.
We do it to make it better about ourselves, my
make ourselves
guy.
feel good. Nah, it's not it, bro. Maybe that's what you do. Maybe that's what you do. You give your $20 to the church because you want to feel good about yourself. That's not what I did. That's not why I did it. I see a larger picture in the grand scheme of things.
And to be quite honest, bro, there is no real feel good
losing your money, right?
Other than there's no real feel good other than doing things yourself. Like doing things for know.
He's the type of person that I feel like he doesn't believe in true altruism. And maybe there isn't true altruism. Maybe that most of
the word. That's the word. Yeah, true altruism. That's the word. That's the word. Because
I still can't get the
when you make. Okay, we'll. All right, we got it. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
We'll do this. But thank you, Rich. Thank you, Twin. We'll be on TikTok Live next time. Shout out to all the people that tapped in with us a little bit. I don't know how this shit about to work, but we gonna figure it out. We about to go live on 3 places. You can catch it on TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. Thank y'all. Shout out TikTok. We out. I think for what I would like to, I think what
That's
I
a
would
good
like
experiment,
to
though.
speak to the homie about is realistically what, because he spoke about a few different things in this conversation. And the reason why we're actually speaking on being a humanist is because I hear my brother say it a lot. I hear my brother say, I'm a human. And I'm like, and to me, it sounds how it sounds, right? It sounds like, yeah, I put human first. I don't look at black or white, creed, race, color. I put human. But I do believe it strips away a little bit of the identity politics necessary to be human, right? Because if you're white and you don't see color and you see me, you don't have no empathy. You, like I kind of see it that way.
You don't see
Unfortunately,
culture. If you don't if you don't see color, then you might not see the culture behind that color. That's what
well,
I
see,
think.
we talked. Well, see, now we talked about this. We asked, what is American culture? What is white culture? What is black culture? Because you told me we had a podcast. You're like, there is no black culture,
I didn't
right?
say that.
And to
I did not say
well,
that.
I mean, when we spoke about, you was like, where when we spoke about,
I definitely did not say
um,
there's no black culture. I said that there. Okay, no, you're right. I said there is no black culture and there's no white culture because of the words being used. There is no white
right,
or black culture. There is no such thing as a white person or a black person. Because if you look at our skin tone, listen, we're brown. Like we're brown skin, dark brown skin. We call dark brown skin people black. So when we say black culture, I'm trying to use it phonetically from speaking of what the color black really is. You know, I want when I was trying to destruct the programming at that time. We're talking about programming, and I'm like, yo, there's no such thing as a black person unless they're charcoal. Like even the most charcoal person in the world is like dark brown. It's just there's no opaque obsidian black person unless they're from a planet, I don't know, Mars, whatever. I don't know, but I was trying to make a point there about language and how we've been programmed to see ourselves. So what we do is we generalize. We generalize and we put black people on this side of the spectrum, white people on this side of the spectrum. We say, you're this box and you're in this box. You're in this box and you're in this box. And guess what? You're very different. You're so different. You're white and you're black. It's complete opposite, right? And I don't believe in that. I believe that cultures come from where you are, where you grew up, where you're located. And I think that now in the way we've learned it, there's a black American culture. That's what I said. And there is a white American culture. So it comes from where you are located and how you were nurtured growing up. And that's when you said there's been no nurturing for black people, and that black culture has been about survival. And I agree with that. But there's been also a lot of, joy in that black culture, whether it comes from church and how they embrace their music, their food. That is not just about survival. But don't get me wrong, I think that a lot of that is kind of also tainted with the lens of having to survive that creates the culture. Where like chitlins was, the bad parts of the chicken that we turned into something that people eat in the South, and that is from survival for real, and it's a food. But I do believe there's more to the black experience than strictly survival. But I do think that a lot of what we've gone through, or like the Black Americans story has gone through, is yes, survival for real. And then I think the white American culture has been primarily patriotism above everything. Like you gotta ride or die for the red, white, and blue. And that's how you do, or else you're not part of this American culture. You don't believe in American values if you're not riding and dying for America, red, white, and blue. And it's almost kind of blindly. So it almost becomes like kind of cultish sometimes when you look at the Confederacy and how they thought about things. No matter if it was good or bad for people, they wanted to keep slaves and they were willing to die about it. So, and it's like ethically, morally, if you're looking at people as human beings, we would all say hopefully today that they were wrong to fight that. They're on the wrong side of history, but they flew that flag, and if you rock with that flag, you rock with what they believe in. So now we're dealing with people who drive around in their pickup trucks with those flags, and they might have those anti-black sentiments because they don't see the human being behind the black individual, and they definitely don't see the black culture and the black story in this country, because you know why? It calls them to question their own story, and that's where I find it very interesting when we start to cross-reference cultures and see why we believe what we believe and how we move within it.
So what I then now again, we teased the topic and didn't get into it. So
Yeah.
Robert F. Kennedy is overseeing he is overseeing the Individuals with Disability Educations Act and the federal funding for special needs students. And the reason why we're speaking about being a humanist and humanism and altruism and ethical good deeds, like, is because this move was not made in any of those facets, right? These moves were not, first of all, dismantling the Department of Education is, oh, you got it? Okay,
I have a video.
Yeah, go ahead and run the video so y'all can see where the real apathetic somberness change of the show comes from, because again, my wife think that, oh, because I didn't want to give you none. Like, girl, my dick's off right now, nigga. This nigga is running the Department of Disabilities for our son, nigga. I don't want no pussy. I want peace.
These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old. And these are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted. And we have to recognize we are doing this to our children, and we need to put an end to it. These are children who...
Okay, first and foremost...
Yes, we are doing this to our children by employing you.
First and foremost, is there something wrong with him? Like, does he have like
something wrong with? Yes, something wrong
like
with
an illness or something? I don't know, but he seems off the way he's talking. Or maybe he had like a procedure done in his throat. I don't know. But one thing that stuck out to me is that
he had a procedure with his throat.
Okay, I'm not gonna laugh. I'm not gonna laugh. One thing, very serious topic. One thing that stuck out to me with this situation was was what he said they're never going to do first. You remember what he said?
What he said we're not going to do first?
He said they're never going to...
They're never going to pay taxes.
Pay taxes. That was the first thing he said.
You're right.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Elon Musk, his autistic ass, he ain't paid a motherfucking thing in taxes. A trillionaire. The motherfucker trillionaire and he paid. Hold on now, the jokes gotta fly because initially we thought we was gonna end the show angry, but the jokes gotta fly to keep us from being angry. Now the first thing the man said was that these kids will never pay taxes. And then the last thing he said, they'll never be able to use the toilet unattended, unassisted.
Yeah, he said, yeah.
Trying to figure out where's this wide gap of developmental. Do he know what autism is?
I think he's talking about all different types of conditions. I think that there are people with autism that will need help with that. I think there's a spectrum on that, but more than anything,
like a spectrum, something that he like. Yeah, it's like an extreme and then like a less extreme.
yeah.
So this nigga just grouped everything into the extreme, bro.
Yeah, for real. To be honest, there's autism people that will pay taxes, and I think it's also for people. I'm not sure if he's just solely talking about autism here, but in this clip, but I just think it's so odd to say these are people that will never pay taxes as your first statement when you're talking about kids with autism. It's just odd to me that that's your primary go-to. And then he goes to baseball and, poems and shit like that. Never go on a date. Nigga, you don't know that. We have Love on the Spectrum on Netflix right now,
Right now.
What is he even talking
It's motherfucking hoes that love the spectrum.
Yeah.
And niggas too. Niggas take advantage of the side too.
Oh my God, I cannot. This conversation. Oh my God.
Oh man, but I'm being dead ass. Like what he talking about, bro? I ain't gonna hold you. I don't follow this girl. And I'm making fun. I'm making jokes. I am. I don't follow this girl. She's not she doesn't have a mental disability. She has a physical disability. She's in a wheelchair.
Okay.
And she does it's on Twitter, but she comes from TikTok. So the TikToks make the Twitter and is get ready with me as I get to go get cracked. So like she in her wheelchair doing makeup, doing the shower. She gotta throw her legs together. So what I'm trying to say is, I don't think this nigga know what the fuck he talking about. Disability or not, motherfuckers is going on dates. Motherfuckers is going on dates to get cracked.
Oh man, there you have it, guys. And that's our take on RFK, bro. Oh man, he's taking over the federal office in charge of special education services, bro. And we are fucked, bro. Like they already cut a bunch of funding to special education last year. And I'm just worried. I'm just worried about what they're doing now. Because when he says not going to pay taxes, I'm like, where is your mind going with this? Like, what is your now?
That means they don't. That means they don't deserve federal funding.
Yeah, and that's where I'm feeling like
that's the first reason why he's saying that is the excuse to cut federal funding. That's the first excuse.
That's the first excuse. Yeah, they're not going to pay taxes, so they don't. And this is where I'm like, all right, with the my humanistic mindset is like every human, no matter what, deserves some dignity and help and support. And I think it's possible. It's like I do think that with that ethos, it's possible to help people who are disabled, people who are dealing and suffering with autism and all types of different disabilities. But when you have this man in charge whose first priority is that they're not going to pay taxes, the language already just puts us off-putting for me. I don't trust that there won't be more cuts to the special education services because there was already cuts last year, and I'm worried, and I'm worried that that's what it is. So he started with that, then he went on to say a bunch of things that they could possibly do right after that, so the only thing that first of all, they can do all of that, but the focus he started with was taxes. And I'm like, bro, that is so beyond, what is the priority here? You know what I mean? And helping these men and women who are dealing with special needs, who deserve special needs and help with services that are really. So I'm like, are you going to fight for them or not? So
It doesn't sound like it. It doesn't sound like it. And uh, he is the administration and the cronies that follow are so ignorant for the simple fact that, bro, there was the MLB, right? The Major League Baseball, right? That
yeah,
big association, autistic players.
yeah.
The openly autistic players
It's like he's
in
so
2018
dismissive
is back in 20
of
like
it's like he
like
doesn't know
what
what
do
he's
you
talking
mean?
about. And this is the guy
So
leading
to give him the control, yes,
it's absurd.
yes.
Like, and it's like we as a people can't question this, or else it's like, oh, you're believing in lies. Oh, you just want to hate the Trump administration. No, it's a valid question. If we're putting the right people in charge here, guys, like, come on now. Like, people are making jokes of it. It's not funny, but people are making jokes of it. Look,
These are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. Give me your eyes, I need sunshine. Give me your eyes, I need sunshine. They'll never write a poem. Your body, your bones, your voice, your ghost. These are.
Yeah, I'm not jacking. I'm not jacking. And again, this is the reason why, it can get a little serious and it will get a little serious. My son is diagnosed with autism. He's nonverbal. He'll be 7 this year. You know what I'm saying? We are having a difficult time with potty training, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like there's no it's tough.
yeah,
Okay, it's bitch and shit can go everywhere. But that's potty training with any toddler. That's not an
yeah,
autistic toddler.
yeah,
That's just a toddler.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? There happens to be, learning deficiencies, learning disabilities, learning missteps or relapses that happen because it's a neurodivergency that is happening,
Yeah,
right? And for the world to be more inclusive to neurodivergent people, um, senses, smells, sounds, colors,
extremely sensitive to those things. Yeah,
all of those things are very like. I love when I can go into a restaurant and it's inclusive. I love when we can go to Legoland and it's inclusive. I love when we can go to Pig Park. It's inclusive. I love when we can go to literally there is designated playhouses, indoor play for neurodivergent kids where my son is allowed to pit balls and climb and fall and just run around like that's important for him to know that he isn't different,
exactly.
right? Because we live in a world clearly where there is first of all, a nigga can see you. It's a difference. Whether we call it black or white, but whether I'm beige or brown, my nigga, there is a difference automatically.
Yeah,
There's a difference with my hair, how I wear my head. There's a crown law of how motherfuckers see hair when it's done a certain type of way, when it's wrapped a certain type of way. When you
yes,
see some, there's an observation. There's a difference, right?
absolutely.
There's a difference when you read a resume and it says Chidi 2K, and I have an American Fortune 500 company, and and it's a phone position. I have a difference. Like, I don't want him. There's a difference. There's diametrically a difference
Uh-huh.
in everyday life. As a kid, you need to be able to be the same. You need to be able to know that I
He
can play with
deserves
kids, and he deserves
he
the
deserves an
opportunity to be
innocent
that.
childhood to be himself
Exactly.
and grow
Exactly.
organically from his own experiences, and not from a standpoint of we are going to limit you because we think that you can't, or you're different because of this. You can't have friends. And when you're coming from that limited mindset, man, RFK, bro, God damn, bro, you are not the person to be in charge of this. And this is what I'm saying. Like, we had the comment of the guy judging me because of the humanist mindset that I share, but isn't that what's needed for dealing with these organizations or these departments, for us to see people as human beings first and seeing as like, listen, at the end of the day, we're not going anywhere. Autistic children and adults exist. How can we improve their life? Black people exist. How can we improve their life? Asian, white, black, difference, LGBTQIA plus. How can we make things better for people because they exist? Not tell them that they're wrong for being themselves. And when it comes to the neurodivergent people in particular, and the elderly, I think they're the most vulnerable people that are not looked at and treated with care. We just talked about a story a couple weeks ago of a woman had to put a camera in her son's hair to expose the abuse her son was dealing with as an autistic child. It shouldn't have to come to that. But when you have people in charge like RFK who don't see them as human beings, but sees them as taxes first, it it perpetuates a society and a culture that's more than likely to happen. And I just pray that things move in a more positive direction in the future, that we can be more intentional about who we put in charge of these departments, because it's very important that they have the right heart for it. More than any brain and how much budget and taxes it's going to cost, the heart for it. What it's going to be when it comes to empathy for people, human beings who are going to have a difficult life and who already have a difficult life. But what we can do is make them feel just a little bit more normal, a little bit more accessible, a little bit more included. That's all.
Removing or having him oversee this Individuals with Disability Education Act, it removes it from it being under the jurisdiction or the guidelines of the Department of Education, which focuses strictly on the academic development, the learning science, and classroom inclusion. This now then places this under the jurisdiction of medical and public health framework. So this can possibly impact what your insurance covers, speech therapy evaluations, physical therapy evaluations, occupational
Medication.
therapy evaluation, ABA therapy, like all of these things is and to be fair, these practices cost. These independent practices cost. And if you're going through, public, the wait lines is enormous. They don't have enough people. They don't have enough.
So to cut funding from where they're already at is almost evil.
Well, what I do, if I didn't know you, what I do.
In the city. All right, listen, man. Listen, man. I don't know. I wish I could play some music like Joe Budden does in these times, but we just gotta stay informed. Now y'all know a little bit more about what's going on with the gov and the people in charge.
Vote, people.
Vote, please vote. If you guys have, just be tapped in on who's in charge of what, and vote so we don't end up here again in 4 years.
And be real, if you guys are watching us, that means either your algorithm is switched up or you're switching up your algorithm. Meaning you're removing the wool, or you're waking up,
That's
or
us.
you're sounding an alarm,
Even if you
honestly,
disagree
like
with us.
in real time, like we are, bro. The tweet said 20 hours ago, bitch. We was recording 20 hours ago, niggas. This shit happening in the middle of the night. Like shit is happening in the middle of the night while you are mindlessly scrolling, while you're trying to get away, before you gotta go back to work or get up and take your kid to school, whatever the
Yeah.
case may be, bro. Like you're not really paying attention. So we picking it up for you, man, because we have to again. My boy's 7. You know, we got 2 more years at least with them in office. You know, so I don't know what damages could be done in 2 years.
I know. I know.
I mean, yeah, you know what I mean. So you know, with that, you know, so I gotta be more vigilant to be counter. I gotta be counteractive.
Gotta be
Home.
proactive.
I gotta be proactive with the counter of what's going. I gotta now be more vigilant of city, state, local. You know what I mean? Like I gotta be more vigilant of
Honestly, yeah, your
you know.
local, whoever's locally controlling the Department of Education and specifically handling the special needs side of things, we should know. We should know who's in charge so we can hold them to task at least locally, and pull up on them maybe, to see where they stand, because we're not okay with the language coming out from the federal, and
No,
that's
it's
okay
not.
for us to
It's
say
not.
that. Like
Yeah.
we should be able to, as the people of United States, be able to express our displeasure in this
And my county just built my county just built um a new school, brand new school. CJ school is an
shit.
extension, is a second campus. So their first campus is in Lake Wales. They built a second campus in Davenport. But my thing is and they're, you say pull up on them. They good people, but I worked that job at that school. And it questions your ethics. It questions, and everybody ain't really built for it. It's tough. So if if it's hard finding good teachers, if it's hard to pay teachers real, good money to work with more difficult kids
Yeah, man.
rather than go to another, like it's a trickle down effect to where nigga, like I'm telling you now, Chidi, ain't no cameras going to CJ hair. If I get an inkling, a suspension, a suspicion. You know what word I'm talking about.
Suspicion, yeah.
On my way to the school, I'm texting you bank information.
I got you, bro. And rightfully so. I completely get it. I completely get it.
I'm gonna need you to get your ass a plane ticket and then help Ivana get my ass out of jail.
I got you, brother.
And bring your sister. She a lawyer. She gonna have to switch up her practice. I need her help.
Yeah, man, for sure. Man, but yeah, man, that's what we do here on Everything Is. We keep you updated on everything that matters. We are the zeitgeist. We are the culture. Listen, man, any last comments, brother?
Well, you know what matters tomorrow. We going into the parade. We going to the parade.
Go New York, go New York, go. Yes. Shout out to Jalen Brunson. New York Knicks will be down in the city. With the New York Knicks parade. We ain't driving no UConn. We ain't
gonna pull up in the UConn. They gonna be bulletproof. Hell yeah.
Yeah, man, we go live in the city. Shit, I might even go TikTok live. Let's see what I do down there. Shit. Let's see what happens, man. Listen, man. It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit. But yeah, guys, listen, we here, we give you all the updates on everything that matters every single day. I'll be down in the city tomorrow recording or trying to check out the parade. So we'll see if I make it back. I should make it back for the pod tomorrow. But we'll talk about some more topics, and we'll see where we go with it. But yeah, man. Anything else you want to say before I close out this bitch?
No, man. I just want to say, man, again, with what we discussed today, try to find the thread within yourself of wherever you lie on the spectrum of red, blue, Republic, Democrat, MAGA, progressive, wherever the center of it all should be, am I doing the right things for the right reasons that will impact not only myself, but those in a real everybody's not religious, so I can't say that you are looking for that well done when you get to the gates, because everybody don't live by that code. Everybody don't live by that. But what I am trying to get through is that at the end of the day, when you can look at yourself and did you take advantage of anybody? Did you help anybody? Did you do anything outside of your way? Did you learn anything?
Yeah.
To me, that's a humanist, right? To me, that is you stepping outside of whatever bubble that you happen to be in, and you have the ability to then look from a POV outside in rather than inside out.
Absolutely.
And that is being a humanist to me, you know. So I hope we all aspire to be that one day. Whether you're a humanist MAGA or a humanist progressive, what we're doing it for is for the betterment. And I don't know how you can be a humanist MAGA, you know, but, you know.
I'm sure there's ways, but I'll say this. Listen, as long as you keep in love first in your heart and spirit, and you're trying to help people out and trying to see what's best for the country moving forward, it's okay to have disagreements. It's okay to have debates. That's how we move forward. That's how we find a better tomorrow. So as I say, keep loving your hearts and spirits. We'll be back here tomorrow because the world needs all that love. So whether you're humanist or not, keep love first. That's all. Peace out.
Peace.
If you made it this far, you are a real one. Thank you. So please like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more daily content from your boys from Everything Is.